Hey, look at everybody. Hello, everybody. Such, I was gonna say it's nice to see such lovely faces, but I can't see you guys. But I do see certain faces in the background. Yes, you are expecting Dell Guzman, but he's not here today. He had to do some work obligations, so he's here in taco spirit. But we did bring. Look at this guy. Yeah, Mr. IG himself. The man who I always say shoots rainbows and butterflies out of every single orifice out of his body. Comic Uprising. Hello, James.
Hello.
Yeah,
You're the
yeah.
person of IG today. Don't
Oh, you
forget
know
that.
what? Yeah, that is true. When you're not working like me, you have a lot of time in your hands,
It's
and
true.
it sucks. But hey, I gotta do something. And then we got uh Adrian from El Ray Comics.
Hello.
Adrian, it's been a while since we've
It
had
has been a
this
while.
since we had this fine gentleman on the show. And then we had the dynamic duo of the comic capsule, Andrew and Jeff.
Hey guys.
They're back.
They're back.
Hey guys.
Yeah, man. These guys were Andrew's a good sport. We've had some last minute cancellations, and I hit him up and I said, "Hey, Andrew, what are you doing, man? You're not doing anything, right?" He's like, fantasy football. I go, I'm like, that's not important.
Yeah.
That's not important.
I
Comic
love your
cap,
show, so all good.
yeah, yeah, we're important. We're more important than those guys. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But all right, here we go. Angela, hello from Prairie Meadows, the nursing home that watches us every Tuesday night. They all gather
Hello.
together in the community, and they put our faces on the screen, and they all watch.
I am so sorry. I mean, thank you.
Hey, to think about it, I mean, that's a pretty big community, and they watch every single Tuesday, and they have a team down, a team Caesar. Can you believe that?
I mean, that's what I was thinking. I feel bad for them. Are they
Who the
being
hell's on
forced?
Team Dell?
You know,
Tacos.
boy. See, this is why Adrian is my boy because he's like Team Caesar all the way. I could actually understand Caesar when he speaks. So this is fantastic. All right. So hey, what's going on there, Easy Rob? That's your Dex Comics there, James.
Oh, hey, what's up?
All right, guys. So listen, it's been a while since we've all actually been together like this. Boy, oh boy, I can. There you go. That is true, Adrian. Dell says that he can still kick you out,
So hurtful.
even though he's working. He still has. Even though he's closing tonight.
He's just
Yeah,
proving my point.
Yeah.
And he likes to say that they're only team me because we're about the same age as the nursing home. All right. So El Ray, what do you guys got? What do you got coming up? It's been a while. I know you have a lot of stuff, right?
I'm still decompressing from San Diego, so that's always been fun. You know, we
Oh,
got
How
lucky.
was how was the show for you?
I was going to
got-
ask you. Yeah.
So we got lucky. So I've been doing let's see, this is my 7th or 8th convention at San Diego. Exhibiting. And before we were in like the exhibitors like small tables, and this time we were now with the big boys, and that was we were right smack in the middle of the con floor. We were kind of between like Sienkiewicz, Alex Ross Distillery, and we were like right in between all that.
Nice.
And right by the door. So it was I didn't get a chance to like meander like I normally do, which is good, right? Because we were busy. I also shared it with Final Order. So we had Patrick Hovarth there the whole time from underneath the trees, beneath the trees. So he was there the whole time. Then we had let me see, Tony Fleeks, we had Tony Rodriguez, we had Trish Forstner, we had
Nice.
Oakland Shalvey, we had Derek Kirk Kim, signed all of our Last Mermaids. We had the Canto guys that did the drop at our booth
Oh,
for their new Dark Horse stuff.
that's cool.
You know, it was busy for sure because I mean that's what I basically do at the cons is get a bunch of signatures and get a bunch of everyone to go sign at the booth. But yeah, it was good. It wasn't as busy as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you how packed was it? I mean,
It was busier last year. At least it felt busier last year.
Wow.
This
Really?
year, I think everyone went towards Deadpool Wolverine. That side of the convention hall was
Got it.
Okay, but it was busy. But for your side, it was not
The
as
con
busy.
floor wasn't like it was where like you can't walk, you can't. It wasn't like that this year.
Deadpool
But
Wolverine took
sales
over.
could potentially be good because of
Sales.
that.
I mean, Sergio Aragones would joke and tell us that like cosplayers don't sew pockets. You know? So they don't have pockets with them, so they don't have credit cards. But you know, it's interesting because where we were situated is like we had Boom, I don't know, like 50 feet away, and Distillery like 100 feet away. Like, so you had all these guys that had their own, you know, publishers, distributors that all had their own variants. So it was variant heavy for sure, more so than any other year. This is like the first year where I really noticed that publishers and distributors are really hitting con exclusives super hard. I know it's been like ramping up over time, but like when Boom had 5 Thursday drops, 5 Wednesday drops, 7 Saturday drops, 10 Sunday drops,
Wow.
like you start noticing like they're I start noticing like Distillery the same way. Like you start noticing the trend of, you know, there's still a market for variants, right? There's the the fact that distributors and publishers are making variants should scare every single retailer on the planet, because they don't need retailers to make variants, right? They can make them themselves and go to every single con and do it themselves. Um, but at the same time, like it doesn't preclude us from making variants. We just have to find much better artists or much better, you know, things to do. But it's definitely there's definitely a sea change coming with variants for sure.
Um, the most important question, Adrian, is: did you get con crud? Tell me you didn't get con crud.
I got Concrud like a week after I got back. It wasn't immediate.
Damn. Listen,
It
I'm
always
going to
happens.
MegaCon. I'm going to MegaCon in February, right? We all know what happened to my ass last time I tried to go, and I am so like I'm gonna walk in with a sheet of armor, like a little suit of armor, and I'm gonna be clanking because I'm so nervous because of I'm just nervous. I'm gonna try to tell everybody. I think I'm gonna wear a shirt that says I had a heart attack. Don't touch me. That's it.
Well,
You know, but
it's
I know it's
like if you go to New York, New York's a completely very different show than San Diego, right? There's no real exhibit hall H. You're split on 2 floors, right? You have the exhibitors and the artists. Artist floor is always open later than the exhibit hall. So the flow of traffic is completely different. Where San Diego, more volume, smaller space, right? So you're if some one person gets sick, everybody gets sick. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, I got you.
And there's so many events afterwards, you know, like we did the
Oh.
Whatnot event, and then we do all these other events, and then you go to do like the, you know, we did with Dinesh a bad idea, like so everyone's like cycling, like it's almost like we're on a giant airplane for 5 days.
I get it.
Ugh.
It's like you can't avoid it. Honestly, you really
No, you
can't avoid it unless you just go and then
Oh, just
go
drink.
straight.
Just drink heavily.
Alcohol will
and
kill
everything,
it.
dude.
That's my plan. I'm gonna drink so much that I'm gonna forget I even get concrete.
Oh no, bacteria can't survive like with a high blood alcohol content.
Well, that's good to know. So
Con advice.
so obviously Deadpool Wolverine was the thing, right? I mean, that's all everyone talked about. It was
Yep.
he was there and they were there, and you know, they showed the movie and people got to watch it with those guys. It's
Yeah, they're all
just
walking out with those little popcorn Wolverine.
Oh yeah, with the
yeah.
big mouth thing.
Yeah. Or unless you have social anxiety. There you go, Robert. I mean, you know, if you have social anxiety, then you're perfectly fine. You just go
I would
and
actually
then go
say
back.
that Keanu and Berserker had about the same amount of fanboys as Marvel did.
No way, really?
Yeah.
They were at the Boom. They were at the Boom booth, right?
Yeah, they did the thing at Exhibit Hall H for the trailer, and then they were at the Boom booth like 2 times, I think, over the weekend.
Did Ross Ritchie show up? I know he recently sold to Penguin, right?
Yeah, they just Boom sold to Penguin, which again, kind of it all again. If you really think about what I said earlier about how publishers are now making variants, like I would not be surprised if they start doing variants for Penguin that are retailer only, right? Like, hey, you can order. We're making 5 different covers that are, you know, not FOC. They're not open order. They're, you know, you want to we're making 500 print runs, and it's we're going to do orders, and whoever first come, first serve. Like that, I would not be surprised at all. I would not be surprised if that's going to happen.
Robert, I'm the opposite. I just don't want to get sick, so that's why I don't want to hang around people. But I'm a social idiot. As you can see, I don't mind talking in front of people. I can get in front of 500 people and sing if I wanted to. It doesn't bother me. It's just I don't want to get sick because of my condition. But hey, you know what? I'm gonna take Adrian's advice. I'm gonna booze it up like there's no time. Me and
There it
James
is.
and David, who's in this chat, Chef.
There
There he
it
goes. He
is.
loves you, my man. We're gonna mega con it. We're gonna finally get to meet a lot of the people that I've been wanting.
Are
to
we already
meet for a
talking
long
about
time.
MegaCon? That's like,
Oh,
It's
That's
just skipping
February.
over
can
New
we get
York.
through New York first, please?
well, because I'm not going to New York, but we're gonna talk about New York. Andrew, you
Team
guys
Caesar. Team Caesar.
you
Yes,
guys
Team
didn't
Caesar,
go, right?
That's right.
Yeah, this is why I'm Team Caesar. Andrew, you guys didn't do SDCC, right?
Not SD. Oh, actually, Lawrence Lee went. He had a big sandwich board on, walking
Sandwich.
around, and
Did he?
I think he might have brought a silver comic capsule prototype, and he was walking around, and yeah.
Speaking of silver prototypes,
Hey,
what a
Mhm.
segue! What a segue! Who happens to have a silver comic capsule prototype that can show with the silver book in it? Anybody?
Jeff, you have a picture of it at all, or do you have one handy?
Maybe something even a little bit better.
Oh, there you go, buddy.
So, a comic capsule that's specifically for Silver Age books. Now, from what I understand, you can fit a silver in a modern, but kind of tight. Is that what's going on?
The what? You
Oh
could
my.
fit a silver and a modern without a bag and board, and
Without a bag and board.
yeah.
But now those silvers you can fit what? Just with a bag and board.
The silver that Jeff is holding right now, you could fit a Silver Age comic inside a bag and board.
Yeah, instead of bag and board. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
I don't know what, if you're
There we go.
Toy, it makes juice.
And
Juice.
you gotta love kids. Kids
Yeah.
are
Oh, yeah.
Was your toy like? a
Yep.
brown
Sorry, the
bag?
6-year-old's got to suddenly have a conversation as well.
Why?
you know what? My wife says the same thing when I try to talk.
It was like this.
See,
It's funny. What's going on, Jason? So what else do you guys got going on, Andrew, with the comic capsule? Please tell me you have a magazine size coming soon.
Oh man, that was probably the second most popular request after Silver Age. So the problem with magazines are that there are so many different sizes and thicknesses, and we're trying to gather as much information and try to hit the
Caesar,
sweet spot
son of
for
a-
that.
dimensions.
Yeah.
Dimensions. Yep.
Trying to get the correct dimensions on that for sure.
So I wonder what would be, yeah.
But that has been kicked around in the comic capsule galaxy. It has been kicked around. So
Because it's hard to say what magazine you would use as a template, right? Because like you said, all magazines are a little different, but for example, the foam might be different than Vampire Tales or
the Last Ronin compared to
DC Black Label.
Yeah.
As they say, these are in a galaxy far, far away.
Any distillery book.
Exactly.
Right. Saying, how about trading card capsules?
Don't even
would be
talk
cool.
about distillery.
It's a lot.
What about what Brian's here saying? How about a little trading card comic capsule? You guys working on that?
Actually, that to be honest with you, that market we don't know a ton about, and it's already kind of saturated. So, baseball, whatever, sports trading cards have been around forever, and so have comic books. But the need to protect those, I feel like, were met early on, like in the 80s and 90s. Whereas, comic books haven't been, nobody's really thought about beyond bag and board, and kind of until us, really. So,
I mean, they're comics are like the redheaded stepchild,
it really
It
is. Yeah.
it is kind of true. Adrian, is this still? I remember back when I used to do Whatnot. I used to watch Whatnot and potentially purchase. They would always say that comics is like the here when it comes to Whatnot sales compared to.
I can tell you right now where they are ranked as of today. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Look at this.
That's why I like Adrian.
Analytics.
He's the Johnny on the spot.
Wow.
So let's take a look. They are in progression as of today. It goes cards, fashion, and all the different little things between fashion. So like there's 3 or 4 different categories: cards, fashion, everyday electronics, and then comics as of today. That's
Oh,
correct.
wow.
So comics is still considered the redheaded stepchildren.
It's even kind of true on eBay if you really think about it too, on eBay Live, where it's it's the biggest community that actually has a sense of community, right? So it's got Comic Cons, get together, stuff like this.
Mhm.
Like the other ones really don't have that. It's also the less so what I'm looking for, gimmicky of all the other categories.
Yeah.
All right.
Because all the other ones require either gumball machines to do mystery, luxury stuff. Like it's all game based, it's gamified selling, where
Okay.
comics really is not. But the problem is it's volume, the volume and price, right? Like Whatnot and eBay Live and any live selling for that matter really push average price per sale, right? They want you to do high volume, high price. They don't want you to do low volume, low price, or even low volume, high price. They want high volume, high price. So mystery boxes and mystery games and mystery stuff like that make a fortune on Whatnot because of that. Because everyone is feeding into the whole chase mentality.
I would think that the sneakers portion of that's pretty big.
So it's usually women's fashion, sneakers, cards, always like the top 3.
Yeah, there you go. There
Whenever
you go.
I'm on it, Snickers is crazy. Shoes
See?
is just insane. So
You met Jacob Bear at the Phoenix Fan Fusion, huh?
I have. I've been lucky enough to meet Mr. Bear in person.
He's
Great guy.
fantastic. The man behind the
And then
pony,
Mr. Michael O'Haver.
the Venom
Well,
ponies, or
The other thing about all those other categories is that you're never going to get a retailer to do a very few retailers can do variants of shoes. Even less can do baseball, basketball, or any sort of trading cards, let alone, Pokemon or Lorcana or anything like that.
Yeah.
It is the most strongly pushed by retailer category by far, by brick and mortar retailers. That's the difference with comic books, because these people are making a fortune because they can do it online. If they had to open a store, it would never happen. Like a physical brick and mortar, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
Only online.
Well, online seems to be the place to be. Some people prefer it anyways because it's low overhead, right? I mean, you don't have to pay for brick and mortar. You don't have to pay for rent.
Well, I mean, just do it this way too. Like anyone can hop on. There used to be a period of time where Whatnot was impossible to be able to sell on. It was curated. You had to be invited. You had to be vetted. You had to go through onboarding. You had to go through a process. I mean, that's when I'm one of the first 50 sellers. So it's like it was very difficult to be on there.
Wow.
Now, not so much.
trailblazing, by the way.
Not so much. Yeah, no, for sure. They were definitely ahead of the curve, but now they can. They're just handing out, selling. There's still
Guys like me that just jumped on, absolutely.
There's still 2 categories that are gatekeeped, right? It's fashion and it's cards now, because of all the nonsense that's been happening in the background. But even eBay, they only have one moment, please. I can tell you exactly how many they have.
Adrian loves his. Adrian loves his numbers.
He does.
I'm not gonna lie. Now I just Now I remember. Now I remember last time you two, Adrian and James, you guys were on was because when we were reading prices from the old Wizard
Yes.
magazine.
Yes.
59,
Hey,
59 total sellers,
Is
On
that
eBay.
all eBay Live has?
allegedly.
Huh.
Would you like their emails?
This guy. Wow.
But
Uh,
it's heavy comics.
Well, yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Because you can't gamble on eBay Live.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's
Wait,
no
wait,
like you're
What
not
am I missing?
supposed to have gambling games. You're not supposed to have mystery packs. You're not supposed to do any of that stuff.
Oh. Wow.
So technically, you're supposed to have an auctioneer's license in every state that you are, hosting.
I didn't think about that. So
Yeah, most people don't.
you will weed out a lot of the whatnot who bet on those type of shows. Huh.
But fashion, man. If you go into any women's fashion, like high-end purses, high-end shoes, high-end luxury goods,
It's a beast.
nobody sells anything straight out. It's all mystery game based.
Huh. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study on like gambling addiction.
Absolutely.
It really
And
is.
they talk a lot about that on the onboarding still for
Wow.
what it's worth, but nobody pays attention to it.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, they slap the wrist of some people if you do like duck races or if you do this, but everyone finds a way around it, right?
mhm,
And
100%.
and the problem is that once you start, I mean, I went to randomly clicked on a show that had like 400 people in it. It was a woman, gumball machine, spin a ball, pick a ball out, and she made like 40 grand in an out.
Oh my
Hold.
goodness.
wow.
So, Caesar, after you're done coughing there, see that's your next job. Be a gumball machine
Holy
woman.
crap! What do I need? I got Dell. What can Dell do? Nothing.
He,
Oh man, that cough made me not the joke, but the cough made me cry. While we're talking about gambling, how's your fantasy football going there, Andrew?
It's going really well.
All right.
Pretty solid team so far.
One thing I could never get into. All right. So, do you have any exclusives coming up, Adrian? You're on mute.
Do I have any what? Sorry.
You don't have anything coming up, exclusives or?
Yeah, we have. I had to push back my haha number one because of the attempted whatever on Trump, so we couldn't drop it at San Diego. So we're going to do that at New York. I had to cancel the Biden cover, obviously.
Wow.
We got some distillery stuff. We have some sick tick stuff. Working on some stuff with Scotty Young, so we'll see if that pans out.
that's cool.
Isn't it funny how, and people don't think about this, how social things that happen in the outside world affect stuff like pushing back a book I was going to put out.
Well, it was
No
already
whatever.
pulling teeth to get my haha Trump Biden cover done 4 years ago. Like it was like a minor miracle because they actually approved them both, and I was going to split it with Carlos up at Gotham, and I was going to do Biden, he was going to do Trump, and then force everyone to buy from each other, and then Maxwell Prince killed the Biden cover.
Oh,
And then the whole Trump thing happened,
And then Trump gets elected because this came out the week of the election. Like it was like a perfect drop, and I mean, it ended up being a good thing because we ended up doing the Virgin cover, and we did, But anyway, long story short, when we brought it up again, hey, it's 4 years from now, let's go ahead and redo the covers. They were surprisingly okay with it.
and then
Trump almost got killed.
and then that happens.
And-
So it's wow.
Whew.
That kibosh and all of that. So speaking of New York Comic Con, you're going to be there? Yeah, he's
Nope.
going to be there.
Oh,
And
nice.
you guys, Andrew, you guys?
I think I might try to share a table with my cousin. So we might have a presence there.
Now, when you
Cool.
go, do you just take a bunch of just your product and just sell out?
Yeah. So I'm originally from New York, so I have a home base there. You know, my family's house. So I just send over cartons of comic capsules and just kind of sell them there. So
Well, there you
And
go.
you guys normally, I'm assuming you guys normally sell out.
yeah, it's been selling well.
Well, everything that I picked up sold. I don't know if you had heard that. So
I
on my
did
end,
not. That's awesome.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Dude,
That's great to
James
hear.
has no problem selling stuff.
So
Hey,
so as
Yeah.
soon as the show's over, Andrew, we'll expect another order from James.
I've moved since. It's
Yeah. He's
a
he's
little
no
further.
longer in that area.
Yeah.
Adrian, you say you're gonna get a table there?
You know, I used to do a table, and then it's not really a good selling show unless you have a ton of variants, which is what kind of San Diego and MegaCon have kind of morphed into.
Ah,
So they offered me a table. I don't know if I'm going to take it or not. It all kind of depends on really if I'm able to do this Trump cover, because I know that Trump cover will sell out, because we're doing another trade, another version, and a foil, which they don't usually. Image doesn't really let us do foils, so and it's a little bit of a different version of what it is, but it all really comes down to, do I really want to invest $3,000 just to have a place to sell my comics when I can do it, either on Whatnot or eBay or somewhere else at the same time at the con.
Why would they have problem you making foils?
I mean, Image in general has been very picky about. They've been less and less over time now, but before, like, they were adamant about no treatments, no special treatments, no glow in the darks, no foils, no nothing. And then ever so often on special edition stuff, they would let you do it. But I mean,
Is
I
it
think a
because
lot
it
of
loses the commodity and it's kind of like we kind of want it special? Or?
I think part of it is also the logistics of it, because it does cost more and it takes more time to get foils done. And
Oh,
if
okay.
they're using transcontinental, or if they're using a certain printer, they might not have access to it or enough time on the press to make them. So they got to go specialty, like for metals and stuff. They can't. The Transcon's not going to do that. But honestly, like, especially Image, like, all the creators get a bunch of comps. So for them, it's free money. So I don't know.
Is it does it also? I don't know. I would think that if you get a table, does it also kind of take away the whole fun of going to a con? Like you
I
can't
don't.
get up and.
I don't enjoy going to cons where I'm an exhibitor,
yeah.
because it's
Well, I was
very
gonna say. I
difficult.
mean, the whole purpose of people going to cons, the whole reason cons ever existed, is to go and meander and look around and hey, how you doing? And shake hands and kiss babies. But if you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, I can't even get up to use the restroom. I gotta find something to take my seat and all that. It kind of like it takes the fun out of kind of going to a con. So I would kind of get that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I do San Diego. This is my hometown, but I also have like half of my friends I can get in that don't have to worry about going through the lottery to get tickets, right? And don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So they're able to help at the booth. But it's becoming less and less fun the more you treat it like a business, which I guess is a trade-off. But like, I can't tell you the last time I went to a panel. Can't tell you the last time I went to like Hall H. Can't tell you the last time like I just walked through the hall if it wasn't 2 hours before the show. It's
Yeah.
just
When you're an exhibitor, you are kind of chained to the table, even if you have people helping you. I mean, you need to answer questions. You need to, just kind of
Sell.
man the table and sell. Yeah.
well, and like the secret of San Diego is that you get everything done on Tuesday and Wednesday. Everything gets the vast majority of what I do, like all my signatures, I'll do my grading drop off, all that stuff I get done by Wednesday. But by preview night, all that stuff is done, at least a big chunk of it. Because
So you
if
can't do
not,
that for New York though. because of logistics, right?
No, New
Yeah.
York's. Well, I mean, the only way that you can really do stuff like that in New York is that you have to have relationships with artists, because the ones that are coming in from out of town are coming in Monday or Sunday, right? And there's only like 2 or 3 local hotels that everyone kind of stays at, so you can, like, if you really need stuff done early, you can probably get a private signing. But if you actually need to get stuff done the day of the con, like, good luck, especially come Friday and Saturday, especially high volume.
You
High
ever
volume.
think about that, Caesar? About how much signing goes on before, so that they're ready to sell? It's
You
crazy.
know what? Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never really put the thought of that part of it. There's a lot of work that goes into these things. The average Joe just walks in, walks in, and hey, look at that, and this guy, and I'm gonna wait in line and get a cig, But the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, you got to look at it this
insane.
way too. Like, I did a distillery book. I had the first Jenny Frison book for distillery. I flew to Chicago just so I could meet her at a coffee shop to sign 50 copies, because my mentality with her was, I don't want to stand in line and take away from your client base for that hour that it's going to take you to sign all this. So I'd rather pay a little bit more, which I didn't have to, thank God, but I'd rather take a little bit more of your time in the beginning. That way you have more time for your fans, which is the truth, because the hour and a half that she signs is an hour and a half that I'm gonna monopolize with all these books. And most artists are very like, hey, like, thank you for being conscientious of my time, right? Because not everyone sits at the booth the whole entire day, all 4 days at New York or San Diego. Sometimes they're only there for short amount of times, right? So you have to be conscientious as a creator, as a retailer. You have to be conscientious. Hey, if I'm making a cover with a certain artist, that artist is only going to be there an hour and a half a day per day. You don't want to take away from their fans. Same people who are buying your books too, by the way, right? So you figure out a time for them to, hey, I'll meet you at your hotel room. I'll meet you at the bar downstairs. I'll meet you whatever's convenient for you.
It that's very considerate of you. It's kind of funny. These guys, they want to sign as much. They want to go through the line as much as possible, right? They want to sign as many books as possibly can, but yet at the same time, they don't want to be that dick and go, yeah, okay, or whatever. It's
I think it's
right,
impossible
Adrian.
not to become that, though, by
I
day
mean,
2.
because all it takes is that one guy to go, oh, I went to go see Adrian and to sign my book, and he just didn't even look up. He didn't make eye contact. He didn't even whatever. He just signed and he just brushed me off.
Well, you have 2 distinct type of artists. You have the artist that'll be at their booth from morning till night, won't take a break, will sign everything you put in front of them. And then you have the artist that has a manager that sits right next to him.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Those are the only 2 that are. I'm talking about conventions. I'm
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah.
So you either have the guy that'll be like, I'm an open book, show up whenever you want to show up, I'll sign whatever you want. And you have the guy like, I'm only going to be at my booth for an hour and a half, and everything's run through my manager who's sitting right next to me. Right?
Yeah.
So you've already put another human inside the human interaction, which then already makes it kind of distant. And then on top of that, you have a longer line because everything's taking longer, right? So yeah, I mean, some people treat it like a business, which is totally fine too. And some people treat it like you guys are saying, like it's an interaction of a very like old school way of this is how it used to be, you know?
Mhm.
But I
Well,
also think it's a level of success causes that manager to show up.
I can only relate to that time I went to Denver Con last year and or whatever it was, 2 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. And Jim Lee was right. He was right down a couple booths from Ryan Kincaid and John Boy. And you could imagine, right? You could have an hour conversation with the other guys. They had a line, but they're personable. They sure, blah 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 blah, and you could just see 2 guys standing next to Jim, and Jim he's trying. You could tell Jim's trying to like be personal, but they're like, okay, yeah, Jim, okay, come on, we got it.
Well, mostly the handlers are the ones shuffling you through, because obviously they want as many people to get a signature. So sometimes I'll actually not go to the big names and creators and just kind of go to the second or third tier guys and be able to spend time with them and chat with them.
Well, it's also like that's why I host a lot of artists at my booths,
Yes.
regardless
Mhm.
of what I do. It's because Patrick Horvath's a perfect example. So he had a bunch of signings at IDW that were ticketed, that
Mhm.
were 100 people, 200 people only, and he was there for 2 hours, and then people were upset they couldn't get signatures. All the other time, he was sitting at the booth, completely accessible, right? Like, did IDW tell everybody that? Of course not, right? But that's the heavy lifting of his team and his crew to be like, hey, we'll be signing at Boom or signing at IDW, but if you can't catch us there, catch us somewhere else.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how the fundamental shift of what's been happening the last 3 or 4 years is that more and more artists are being repped by retailers and
Mhm.
being put up at shows than ever before.
Well, I gotta
Which
tell
is
you,
tough.
the the other thing I want to talk about, guys, because we could talk about this stuff all the time, is the big news that came out recently. There's just always, it's kind of funny with this industry that we're all a part of, because Dale and I we can actually say that Dale and I are part of this community now. Dale and I are a fixture of this comic book community, which, by the way, we hit 56,000 K on our page.
Nice.
On
I
our
gotta do
Facebook
it
page.
officially. Congratulations.
56K, yeah. We'll hit 60.
That's fantastic.
Um, it's funny how much drama comes out of just when something lulls and it dies down. Next thing you know, you hear the owner of Restoration gets arrested, accused of stealing $300,000 in rare comic books and fraudulent. What do you guys think about that? Did that blow you guys away? Do you kind of go like, does this still actually happen? What's going on there, Joseph? Were you guys shocked when you guys heard about this arrest of the Hero Restoration guy who apparently is fraudulent, screwing people over, and all that good stuff?
Crazy.
I've always felt weird about sending my books to a presser that I may or may not know 100%. That's not a friend. That could end up, so that's it's a necessary evil if you're in the game to get into finding those right people. Um, it's just like leaving $100 bill on the counter. Someone's going to take it eventually, and it's all principle or not principle, but morals.
Mhm.
So,
I,
you know,
I mean, I'm assuming
5-finger discount at the cons is huge. That's one of the hardest things to deal with.
Especially for
So
some,
let
especially
let
for some
alone
whatnotters, apparently.
okay. So
exactly.
let's
So
let's
You,
so
you think that
we're gonna.
happens very often?
Oh, I think it just recently. Geez, James, we just saw it the other day on IG. Somebody posted someone stole X-Men 4
Ooh,
off the table at a small ass con.
holy moly.
And it's rampant. So this is a good topic because we're talking about the high level 300,000 of stolen and fraudulent from a presser who's been in business for quite some time. And then you start hearing the stuff comes out of the woodwork. Hey, you know what? I sent my books to them. I never got it back. They kept on giving me excuses, and now they're probably gonna be part of this whole, litigation and all that good stuff. Um, I'm assuming, Adrian, you have like your own presser, right? Or either you press your
No,
own, or
I've been pressing myself forever.
you've been pressing yourself. But even before that, you probably had a guy you knew,
Yeah.
you dealt with, and you had that trust in.
Yep.
James hit a point. Um, I have a guy that I know and guys we trust, but that's why the word of mouth kind of goes a long way. Because if someone says, "Hey, do you have a presser?" I personally don't, but I heard this guy's good. Well, do you know anyone? I don't know anyone who's gone to him. I just keep hearing. It's like, oh, all right, I'm gonna send you my GSX1 to get it pressed and clean. It's like, oh, I mean, how good are you? And
Well,
Hero Restoration had a name.
the first thing that I always tell people when they're trying to find something like a presser, either a local presser or especially if they're going to ship their book, which I tell people not to do, but sometimes
Mhm.
you don't have a choice, is if that whoever you're sending it to is not asking for insurance, right? Then
Signature
that's
or
your
Andy.
first. That's your
Yeah.
first red flag.
Ah,
First red flag.
that's a good little thing. There you go. So the X-Men 4 was stolen from Josh at Terrificon.
Ugh.
Now Terrificon's that small. I mean, it's not massive, but it's pretty
and
big.
Our industry, and especially the people that do a lot of cons and the whatnotters and the eBay, like everyone is friends. They're friendly with each other, right? So there's a level of like, oh, if you're hanging out with this guy and he's a presser, then he must be okay, right?
Mhm.
There is a lot of that too, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
I've noticed that the higher end books and the higher end people dealing with those books tend to be a lot more trusting than the average person. And I don't know why.
Right.
That's a weird connection entirely. I I've never actually thought about that. That is absolutely true about
Yeah.
people. They're probably not in the game for the same reasons that other people are in the game for.
Right.
They're it's just currency.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's just a commodity, right? It's just
Yeah.
So how
That-
does let me pick your guys' brain. How does someone run off with an X-Men 4 at a booth?
No, they put a slab on top of that one that's theirs and they slip it and go.
the
I mean,
first telltale sign of like any sort of con is when anyone walks up with their backpack on their front, not on their back. Right? So you'll be standing in front of a box, they'll be doing this. You're not paying attention, they'll drop one or two inside their thing. That's
And
what
they're
like that's why you constantly have to have people watching your shit. I mean your stuff. Like you constantly have to have them watching. Like
Right. So I would think that one guy who's at the booth by himself with some big books needs to have eyes all over the place. I mean,
you would think. You would think.
and that's
But
why
it's-
the walls are always behind you as the owner. Basically everything
Right.
on the table can get taken. I knew that from back in '97 when I was doing, going to cons. Like that's an easy snatch.
I've also
So.
seen swap outs happen quite a bit too.
Yes.
People will take a lesser value book, ask to see a higher value book, and then have someone or themselves distract whoever's they're in front of, and then hand it right back. And you went from a 6-0 to a 9-0 real quick.
Well, Kate says that it was the X4 was stolen at breakdown.
Well, that
So,
means that
you know,
was
Oh,
somebody-
that was a vendor then, huh?
That's a vendor.
Oh,
Or an employee of a vendor.
dang. That's sick.
I mean,
That's actually a
last
huge
year-
loophole in the
last
whole
year
system.
Phoenix, I know Ariel had something stolen.
oh yeah, I remember Ariel had some. Yeah, that's right. Ariel had.
It was like prelim sketch or something she was drawing for
Yeah.
somebody. So
And they had video of the guy what he looked like and this and that. I think they stole other stuff. I've had we've had a couple artists on. We asked them, they're like, oh yeah, we've had stuff stolen from us. It's just, yeah, you're right. It pays to have a couple guys with you to go, hey, always keep your eyes open. But that's a good advice. If that dude walks up with a backpack in his stomach and he's looking at Darkhawk #1, you're like, you're not interested in that dude. You're just kind of like milling time.
Well, it's also a lot of them work in teams too. So they'll have one person on one side, another person in the middle, another person on the side. One person distracts everybody, right?
Yeah, it's the
Mhm.
oldest,
You
it's
just
the
not
oldest
paying
thing, right?
attention. Yeah. No, I mean,
So what do you do like when you catch that? Because I know what I did. I just confronted them straight up and be like,
Wow.
"You are putting that back, right?" And
So-
the shock on their face is hilarious.
I'll tell you, like, it's con to con specific.
Mhm.
Because if you throw punches at San Diego, regardless if you're in the right, you'll never ever exhibit it there again.
Oh, you'll be banned.
100%.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that you can't stop them or detain them or but if you start laying hands on somebody, regardless if they're stealing or not, it's not going to turn out well for everybody. But pretty sure at New York you can pretty much do whatever you want, because if someone's stealing your property in New York, like it all comes to con. But yes, the number one thing is that you have to confront them. You also have to have your team be on the same page if that does happen.
Mm.
Yep. So
Video is we all saw the huge debacle thing with Epic Nation. Let's be honest, right? It was all over the place. Epic Nation was all over. And his partner, I didn't know about it. He did it. He showed him sweep the books, and he goes to the corner, he ducks down, and sometimes when you have it out there in the ether and it's on video and everyone sees it, it's hard for you to go, I didn't know about it. Wasn't me.
Well,
So
that's
it's
the other
old-
thing too, is that cameras are being used more and more. Like I mean, I literally have one in my basement here, like cordless battery,
Mhm.
lasts all day. You can just hook it up to my phone, like not that hard. Where 5 years ago, it was kind of hard to have a wireless camera that actually had any fidelity whatsoever. Right now, not so hard. Smaller cons may have electrical outlets, so probably easier to have nicer cameras. But at the end of the day, cameras or not, you gotta be aware of your books, because you also have to be very responsible for your own things. And if you're
Sure.
playing fast and loose with 20, 30, 40, $50,000 books, and some of that responsibility is yours too.
Because
Mhm.
I get nervous for some of these guys when I go to the cons and they have long boxes, like just long boxes everywhere, and a wall, and it's just two guys, and it's like a crowd around just looking at stuff. I'm going, oh man, how easy is
They
it to
they
just
the thing is with those though, they build in those 5 finger, like you just know that's just part of it. I ran
Oh,
the
that
con circuit for a
sucks.
while, and it's
Yeah.
just you're like a 5%, but you just make sure your main stash is always near and close to you. That's
That's
they,
why
you put
most of the deals are done before the con floor is open.
exactly. So true. It's hilarious. Like you
Yeah.
can you can pay for your con before it opens.
There's a show up here in New England that's done in New Hampshire where 90% at least of the actual sales between vendors happens like Thursday night at dinner.
Mhm.
And those books
Wow.
all get recycled year by year. Like they all get traded back to each other. But you'll never see the books for sale because they've already been sold.
Mhm. That's it's
so
cool. That's common culture though. That's freaking cool. But
Yep.
back to the main point though, what do you do when you send a book to a trusted presser and the book's gone? Like that just sucks for the community in general.
Yeah.
So, because at some point, like when your people start buying too high and the market dips and then they sell, it breeds into this whole thing that online sales are sometimes, or when you're sending it, the trust factor in this community is so big. That's why I love that people get called out constantly. So
you
good stuff.
you have to kind of have to call this stuff out, because if not, people won't. They're not aware of it, right? I mean, if you don't bring up something that's obvious and says, and that's why you see a lot of people blast names. Well, don't blast the name unless you have the evidence. You can't just put somebody up. That's why you get the defamation of character and all that stuff. And we're going to get into that with CGC and the lawsuit as well. But if you have proof, and tons of people are saying, oh, I got screwed by this guy too, and oh, I got screwed by this guy too, you have to mention the name, because when someone, well, I don't want to mention the name.
Yeah, but it's
How
also a
else am I?
slippery slope too, because this is a little bit of the cancel culture that's been happening to like some of the creators too, right? Like just because I can tell you for a fact that some of the books that have gone to like say CGC that I know that went through restorers, some have gotten blue, some have gotten purple labels, some haven't, and sometimes it's a luck of the draw and sometimes it's a person who's looking at it. Like, but at the same time, I know for a fact that it's just human nature to have favorites, right? And there's favoritism, and there's like, hey, we
Mhm.
meet the same person at every single con, and why are they talking to the CGC reps all the time, and why are they buying them lunch, and why are they buying them donuts in the morning, and why are they doing this, and why are they doing that? So it is part of our comic convention culture. Everyone knows each other, right? Everyone hangs out with each other. Everyone, but at the same time, like if you're sending a book that's a $50,000 book to get pressed by somebody that you've trusted, like how much due diligence can you possibly do if you've been doing this for a while,
For a while, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, at this point, you're just kind of like, you just kind of toss your hands up and go, I'm trusting you, dude. I finally got 9 of my 15 books back 2 weeks ago, but 2 of them were Crane revision sketches, have 850 and 550 in. It's kind of, I did, I tuned in to a live IG claim, good friends of ours who've been on the show, Crime City Comics and Cold Blue Comics, and they specialize in Golden Age. And Cold Blue pulled out one book, and it was a 1.8 yellow book from the 1940s, and it looked 1.8, and it said nothing on. It didn't say anything on there to attach. It didn't say anything. So we looked up the CG because they looked pristine for 1.8. It did make no sense. So we put in the CGC number, and it came back detached cover. And live on air, he's like, I don't believe this. I don't. So he cracked it. Looks like a 7.5, 8.0 all day cover, staples, everything's there, not detached at all. And he was blown away because guess what? He was this close to selling it as a 1.8. But because it looks so good in that case, he's like, this does not look like a 1.8. And ATL was there. K-Dog was there. He's like, I'm going to break this out, people. And we're like, oh, please do. He held it by one. He's like, look at this. Not detached. Everything's detached. Corners are clean. The yellow's blue. What's up with that? Honestly, and it makes you start to go like, uh-oh. What else? What other books do we look? That's why a lot of people are like, I don't send my books in to get, I obviously, I'm in. Right, I'm all in on my slab books. I don't flip. I don't do anything. That's just a me thing. But for someone who's heavy into flipping, heavy into reselling, you want to make sure that your books are. That's why a lot of times you see a slab, you're like, I don't know why I got 4.5, and you read the notes, you're like, I don't see the spine tick they're talking about.
So you should just go and get yourself a new Silver Age from Comic Capsule.
Exactly. Then you don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
and Adrian's like, Jesus Christ, really? Did you just do that?
But see how that works there. It's a good team. That's why you get one of these. Yeah, see. But it is true though. It is a lot of people hate to do it because it, like you said, Adrian, it's a crapshoot sometimes. It's who's going to grade it? How well were they trained?
Until there's a true scientific way to grade books that is across the board, like remove opinion out of it, remove the human element out of it, right? And there's a true metric of how to grade. This is always going to be a problem. Always.
But I mean, even with that, it's still going to come, unless they can develop a computer that's going to be able to do that. Because you're going to have that.
They will.
One person's going to be like, I think this is a 7, and they're like, no, I think it's this. You're still going to have that human. Humans are flawed.
It's way too subjective. There's way too many eyes that are involved. That especially on older books. Like modern's not so much. Better paper, better staples, better everything. Like you're going to get higher grades. This is the nature of the quality of the paper. But older books, regardless of value, like Mother Nature has, destroyed that book over time. Because how much is really subjective, right? Because like you said, you can send in a book, 3 different people might give it 3 different grades.
It's very true because this is one of the reasons why I stopped buying raw books because I just don't trust the human. I just don't trust the human. Even good friends are like, oh, it's good, it's this and that, and you are like, so it's a 4.5. Look, here it is, everything's great. Okay, cool. I'm taking your word for it. 4.5. I'm gonna go send it and get graded. It comes back at 2.0.
So do you think CGC or CBCS, for that matter, have made more mistakes grading books lower than what they actually are or higher than what they actually are?
Oh, I'm gonna say higher than what they actually are. Especially back then.
Yeah.
Back when they first started out, you look at a book, I see it all the time. That's an 8.5? Really? With those many spine ticks?
I had a Batman Adventures 12 that had no jokes, 7 notes on it, came back a 9.8.
See, it's just that book, Caesar. Told you.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that-
Joker?
No, the BA12.
No, yeah.
The BA12.
the
Yes,
Ken.
yes. It is tough because this is my thing. I recently had a buddy who bought a book and the seller said it was a 4.5. It's a raw, and he basically bought all. Not say he bought the graded price for a raw, but he paid a little higher because that's what the guy said, and he went and he came back at 2.5, and he's like, he hit up the guy. He's like, well, what's up with this, man? I mean, I'm trusting you. You said it's this. It came back this. You either refund me or pay me the difference because it's just not fair. You know, the seller just can't go, oh well, sorry, dude. What can I
Hey,
say?
And I agree with you, Caesar. I think one of the best things that I heard was actually Andrew talking about the way, and again, I don't mean to segue, but I am, to the comic capsule. Like people saying, oh, I only do it for this and I only do it for this. And Andrew's like, honestly, with these now, he's like, I've gone away less from grading stuff, because he wants to be able to still, I mean, and the more that I get into older books too, like I want to be able to touch that because there's some of the stuff I never thought I'd have,
Mhm.
I get that, and I love you, Andrew and Jeff. I do, but sorry,
No,
He-
I mean,
he
no,
doesn't read.
there's stuff.
I don't read. I care less to open up a book and smell it. And if I really
See-
want to read it, I'll just get the digital
Hey.
copy or the omnibus. Or
Caesar, the only book I've read in the last 10 years was a World Tree #1, or a cover, just because I got it extra because when they had the issues with the printing error. I don't read mine, but still to be able to do that, I mean, I get where Andrew's coming from. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
no,
Well, I mean,
I
most
get it.
people have
Right,
never
Andrew?
read any of the classic. Never
Yeah.
read Superman 1, never read Action 1, never read Amazing Fantasy 15. No one
I
knows the
mean-
stories. Tell me the stories in the book. No one
Yeah.
knows.
yeah.
No one reads
Well,
them.
That is true.
100% true. Yeah.
That is true because they're all encased or encapsulated
Well,
or in a
you
box.
know the jig is up with grading companies the moment that they charge a percentage of fair market value on certain books.
That's so true.
Think
That's
about
so
it. Why
100%
does it
true.
cost more to grade a more expensive book? It doesn't. It doesn't cost any more. Why does CGC want, or CBCS for that matter, a percentage of a fair market value book? Based on fair market value, based on what?
I mean, imagine they did that with stocks and they were like, yeah, if you want to buy some Berkshire Hathaway, you're going to pay 10% of what it's worth on the stock market. Like people would be like, what are you talking about? Like that's crazy. Yeah. I'm with you,
Exactly.
Adrian,
Yeah,
on that.
it's weird. It's very peculiar. Mind you, it used to be unlimited. Now it's capped. But still, like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous that they say, okay, well, your book is so expensive to grade. And their excuse is going to be, oh, we have to insure it. Right?
Mhm.
Which is fine. But if you're insuring $1 million book to be in your hands for 48 hours before you grade it, it's not going to cost 3.5% of the value. It's not going to cost you 35 grand. It's not going to happen. Your general liability of a company like CGC would cover that, right? So
Yeah.
it's just
What
at the end of the day, it's just a weird because it's almost like fine art, right? Like
Mhm.
people who buy the Action Comics #1 and the Batman ones and the AF-15s and high grades, they're not really buying it. They're buying it to conserve money. It's a place to put money because it's
Right.
so rare.
Currency.
It's currency. It's
It's
just a
currency.
commodity. It's so rare that you can't get a 9.4 Amazing Fantasy. There's probably 2 of them in the whole world.
And that's
So
why they're not even in this country. Most of them.
right, yeah. But you're telling me that like when Torpedo got that 9.6 Amazing Fantasy 15,
Yeah.
like, and the market value was $1 million. You really think that John paid $35,000 to grade it?
No.
Right?
Right.
course
But exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So that being said, what do you think PSA is learning from all the trials and tribulations of CGC and CBC?
Well,
What
PSA
is
has more
PS
volume. They have a ton more volume.
But what do they offer? What are they offering that will make someone go, "That's it. I'm going with you and screw everyone else. What are they putting on the table that's
Well, I can tell you
making
one
them
thing
higher?
that cards do that comics could do but will never do, and those are subgrades.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, you're right.
Subgrades is where it's at because
Yeah,
that
I
means the
like
book
that.
is actually being inspected, right?
Yep.
Because when you're doing subgrades, you're doing the corners, the photo quality, centering, paper quality, all that stuff. Imagine if they did that for comic books, right? So all the things that get restored, staples, married pages, all that kind of stuff. So imagine if they did it just for golden, or they did it for silver. They did galvanized seal staples. Are in this. This is a married book. Like or they did like centering or whatever it is the metric is. Like
Staples are too new for the age of the book.
Well,
that
yeah,
was a big
yeah,
thing for a while.
that was a big
Yeah, it
thing.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was
They
a
were
big thing
taken
for a
out.
while.
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
taking
So I
out.
mean, if they did subgrades, right, I think it would actually legitimize grading a
I was
little bit
gonna
more,
say,
Ah.
but it would take a lot longer to grade.
And there would be less graded stuff. See that I like too.
Yep.
So very much because I think it oversaturated the market and it just like
Now,
any
if
other
you want to
market.
get rid of this fair market value of 3.5% thing, just do it on instead of charging 3.5%, charge more to grade and do subgrades on the super crazy expensive books.
So the one thing I'm noticing recently is speaking about oversaturation, James, is I'm in all these Facebook buying and selling groups, and like all you see now are people literally losing money on comic books that they graded because I think mostly during the pandemic people were just kind of bored and they were sending in literally every comic that they had. So people would send in 100, books to get graded. I do believe there is a time and place for books to get graded, but people just went nuts. And now it's funny because I'm seeing books selling for like less than it costs to grade the comic, and I'm like,
Yep.
whoa, you're
Well,
taking a
yeah, the
hit,
raw
buddy.
and the slab, let's say at a 4 or 5 roughly, it's about the same.
Yeah,
The pandemic made everyone think that they were like the Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody was making money to the pandemic. And
Yeah.
then 2022, 23, 24 comes around where everyone's going back to work and reality set back in. Like people are spending money on their lives again, not on stimulus checks. So all that stuff disappeared. So now you have a glut of books.
Yep.
You just have a glut
Of
of books.
graded books that shouldn't be
books.
graded and shouldn't have been
Okay.
graded.
This is fucking fantastic topic because James and I always talk about this. And we recently talked about this, and we talked about this not too long ago. And I want to give you guys this take on my take of the crash that's happening now. In 2020, we all know 2020, 2021, even beginning of 2022, people were overpaying for books, right? All of a sudden, that book's 3K, that book's this and this and that. Where were those books in 2016, 2017, beginning of 2019? They were probably the place they should have been. But once the pandemic hit and everybody wanted and the supply and demand happened and the books went and hit such a high cloud, and now that everything has relaxed and starting to become copacetic, the books are dropping down to where they were and were supposed to be. So everyone's saying, my God, the books are crashing. No, the books are regulating to where they were before the shit hit the fan.
leveling
So
out. Yeah.
when everyone says the crash, there's such a no, man. See, everyone bought into what they bought in all those years of pandemic. But if no one touched the books and everyone was just cool and relaxed with the books as they were in 2018, 1917, there would be a crash. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a lull.
Jonathan and I call this the COVID exchange rate.
There we go.
Like
Because
the exchange rate just went up for a little bit and then came right back down.
and we're all I'm guilty of it. Yes, I look at some of these books, I'm going, fuck, I paid $1,800 for that grade, and I could buy a higher grade now for $400 less.
Yeah.
Because I fell into it. I fell into it. I wanted it and I got it. I started buying slab books. But if everybody was just cool, there would have been not that much of a thing, and everyone could afford a decent 181.
COVID
Everyone
FOMO.
was bored. Everyone had money, and like,
COVID FOMO.
yeah,
It was
government.
COVID FOMO, and now
It was.
now this is the catch. So there's people out there who are selling books, trying to recuperate that money they spent in 2020, 2021, and they're still selling it almost at 2020, 2021 prices. And then they're complaining that no one's buying my fucking book. Well, you're still asking for a COVID price, my man, and you
And
have to pivot. And they don't want to lose. They just don't want to lose that. But I spent $3K for it. I'll go down to 2,800. Come on.
Well, you can tell that none of these guys trade in the stock market.
Well, they don't trade in the stock market, and they're not true sellers. They never
not true
were
sellers.
sellers. They were collectors that got caught up in saying, "Oh my gosh, I have this thing that's worth now money." It's not. It's a
Well, it was
collectible item.
yeah. Well, it's a culmination of a bunch of different things, right? It's like the perfect storm of COVID, of being stuck inside, the idea of free money for a lot of people, and then you had things like Whatnot that became this social thing, right? That I have an outlet again, right? And then all of a sudden, books that should not have been going for crazy prices all of a sudden started going through the roof. I mean, 181 is a perfect example. It just went through the roof. Like, and then you had, Heritage and Comic Link and all these auction houses pumping the prices of these books to astronomical prices, right? Everybody was making money and everything was great. The problem is that the party was not really a party, right? It was it was a get together. It wasn't a wedding. So the reality, I mean, I see it now. I see less graded books now than I've ever seen. People are sending less books in because one, they
Yeah.
can't afford it, and two, there's no market for it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the only people who I think truly, people like me who have a PC, don't really look to flip, maybe upgrade, sell something and upgrade the same book. But the only thing I'm putting in now to CGC is all my CBCS books because I want it all uniformed. And that's why, unfortunately, PSA, I won't be buying any of your
Because
stuff.
you don't like
because
real grades. That's cool.
I don't like real grades. Exactly. Adrian, you get me, my man. You son of a bitch. You get me.
That's right.
I feel you.
This is why I don't get PSA because I can't put a PSA book in here. It would drive me crazy. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I had a PSA book in there.
You would have to
And
build a
why
special
CJ
shelf.
wants to get rid of that PGX to me too, right?
I have a PGX. I'm going to send to CGC. I just have to do it.
Look, the bottom line is when you look at places like CGC and CBCS, and you see the lawsuits, and you see like the fraud, and you see like the defamation, you see all this stuff. It's not a coincidence. Everybody was making money off of this, and then now they're not. So if you were making $500,000 pressing books, and all of a sudden you're not, then how are you going to make that up, right? How are we going to do it? You're either going to grease the wheels somewhere, or you're going to do something stupid, right?
Yeah.
Or be a business and grow more volume and find ways to augment that. But grading companies are in the same position that a lot of these other places are too, where they are selling a dream of a grade, right? Because it's completely made up, completely fiction. Your grade is completely fiction. Because you can grab 598 from 5. You can send 5 the same books, same condition, same everything, and get different grades, and they won't be able to.
100%. That happened to me recently.
Yeah.
Sent in some books, and they were all from the same batch of books, and it varied from 9.0 to 9.8, and I was like, there, it's imperceptible the differences in the books. So,
Oh,
yeah,
but
it's
if
kinda
you want to
funny.
pay the $8, they'll pre-grade for you.
I'm good. I'm
Which
good.
is the job they're supposed to do. Which is the job they're supposed to do in the first place, right? Like,
Yeah.
What about But let me ask you guys. What about the? Do you think if they? Well, this kind of sucks and it sounds horrible, but if they did away with the human aspect of it, and it was literally all robotic, and they scan it robotic and count every single tick, every single dimple, every single subcoat, every, and it flips the page and it catches all the tanning and all the foxing.
You know
all the
why that
white.
would never happen? Because
that?
everyone that has a 9.8 181 or anyone that's got they'll never imagine getting it cracked and regraded. Right? Forget about that. You know who would hate this is auction houses.
Oh yeah.
They would absolutely hate it because
Think about this too, Caesar. Oh,
well,
go ahead.
I mean, look, if you're an auction house and you have a high grade AF15, say it's an 8.0, you never have to argue about the grade, right? The quality of book is never argued about.
Yeah.
But if that person buys the 8.0 and then sends it into CGC or CBCS or whoever this is, and they start doing subgrades or they start doing all this other stuff, and they say let the machine run it and it comes back a 6, like imagine doing that across the board. There's too much money that's been invested in this for a lot of people that it just won't happen.
Adrian, would that 9.9 become back a 9.9? You know?
No way. No way.
I hear
No
you.
way.
Were you going to say something, Jeff?
Oh no, I
As soon
think
as my dog stops freaking out.
Oh,
No, I was just saying. I mean, you still, even with the computer. I mean, who's programming it? You know, it's still.
and
I mean, it's
who's
splitting hairs, but it's coming down. You know.
who's buying it? That's who drives the market. It doesn't
Mhm.
like you can slap a damn number. We can move the
Y-
scale anywhere
y-
you want. It all comes down to who
it-
wants to buy the damn thing.
In those
So,
same groups, like Andrew talks about, like you'll see some new person come in. And, well, what do you think this is worth? Whatever you're willing to pay for it. You
yeah,
know.
it's the oldest line in the book.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel said it too. Wait until you see, if whether it's CGC or CBCS comes out with, you know, a acrylic, or something else. The only way they're gonna, be able to do it or get more of an advantage is adding something else
K-Dog,
into it.
K-Dog made a point. He says he bought a 3.0 X-Men 1. 10K less than
Whoa.
it sold for the top.
Yeah.
well,
Think about it, right? How much
percentages.
you think an X-Men 1 3.0 was worth in 2020, 2020?
We already
Right
played
now.
this game. I lost.
Yeah,
Remember?
we played this game before. Where's your wizard?
We did, which
But
was
just
fun
imagine
as-
CGC and CBCS never existed, right? So then who's giving you the grades? Is your local comic book shop owner is
It
telling
would be
you?
the FF. It would be the VF
Yes.
minus, and that's it.
I think
And
that's actually worse.
Yeah,
That's worse. It's far worse.
yeah. And when Overstreet was the only guide that we all had for a moment, and we kind of knew what we were doing, but we didn't.
It was worse, but it was kind of better because it forced you to look at the book and it forced you to open, the book and flip through the pages and see if that Marvel stamp is intact. And so what happened was with the grading is that it basically securitized everything, right? So
Yeah.
it made like, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It created that basically for the comic book industry.
And your
There you go.
average day broker. I mean, we're brokering these books at the end of the day. That's essentially we're caretakers for a second, and that's
Yep.
I mean,
How many books do you think? There you go. 17,000
Holy moly.
at the top, and he
That's
got it for
crazy.
10K less than that.
so now you told us what good pickup.
Yeah, good pickup. But it also makes you wonder when CGC and all that was going through all the stuff, even CBCS, the stuff came out that they were sending books home with graders and they were doing them at home and all that stuff, and it's like, and then it
Yeah,
came
but
out
that
with
was the
warehouse,
worst kept secret on the planet.
that they're taking home books with them and working from home. I mean, this guy's having his bowl of spaghetti next to my 181, while he's grading. I
Well,
get
keep
hyped.
that in
just
mind
thinking,
with your pressers though, because that exact same thing happens with who you send it to.
well, you would hope that they have literally a pressing, sanctuary, and luckily, one advice I give to people: if you want to find a presser, talk to them, have them show them your workout. If it's just them next to their bowl of Captain Crunch, I don't know, man. Maybe you might want to go with someone else. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But with the CGC lawsuit that just recently had, which it's just another ding for CGC. If you're people out there, a lot of CGC haters because of the past of shit they've had going on, they're like, "Oh, it's another reason why I don't like CGC." Okay, I mean that's just the way it is. And there's tons of people why they don't like CBCS. And I think personally, CBCS got in trouble. The reason GSA got introduced, because how many times have you heard people going, "I only submit to CBCS because they verify signatures." Now they're like, I never would have sent to CBCS anyways. But
Yeah,
now
but
I have no reason to send to
JSA
them at all.
Have you ever seen the lines of JSA and how they authenticate?
No.
You literally say, "Okay, here, Mark Hamill, sign this." Great. Let me walk to the booth over there. Mark Hamill, sign this.
Is that it?
Put a sticker on it, hologram. That's it.
Really?
It's 1,000 times worse.
Mhm.
It's worse.
Great. You heard it here first, people.
1,000 times worse. It's 1,000 times worse because there's no, they're basically saying this was signed at Terrificon. He was at Terrificon. Ergo, it's a transitive property. It's like it was at Terrificon. He was at Terrificon. This was brought to us at Terrificon. Then, ergo, it was signed.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Right. I was at a con here in Arizona not that long ago, and they had JSA, and it's just like, yeah, here we can do this for you. It's $10 or $15.
Mhm.
I mean, I know. I mean, but then the people that offer COAs. I mean, what's a COA? Anybody can make one. So
Well,
everybody
I mean-
feels so much more secure with a COA.
Well, back in the day, the COAs I think meant a little bit more. Back when they would just I have my Tom McFarlane one, and it looks like it was signed on someone's printer, and it's photocopied, and he just signed. I, the manager, that verified this is Tom McFarlane. God, this fucking community. It's crazy. It drives me. I love it so much, and yet it's so perplexing.
Mind you,
Yeah.
I'm a facilitator, so I'm like, I have my hands in the cookie jar too. But
Yeah, well, this guy over here, right?
But at the same time,
But you've adapted. That's the beauty of what you have to do in this community if you're gonna succeed at all. Is you have to adapt. You either you didn't just stay with slab books. You go modern. You get your artists. You get all the stuff, and you ride the train. And whatever tomorrow brings, I'm sure Adrian, with all his analytics, will definitely be there.
well, it's also you got to understand with any good retailer, first thing you understand the most is your client base,
Yes.
right? Your clients. So if your clients all of a sudden don't want graded books, then don't offer them graded books, right? Offer them what they like, but be flexible and enough to be able to understand your market and understand your clients. But I don't know what to tell you about CGC and CBCS, to be honest with you.
So,
Adrian,
let's
are
go-
you're a CGC facilitator?
Mhm.
Cool.
let's
I sub the exact minimum books that I need to sub every year.
Oh, you have to
So-
meet a minimum
Yeah.
requirement?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Exact. I like that.
I never knew that. Okay, so that brings me back to my question a while back. What is PSA going to bring to the table that's going to make people say, I'll go with you from here on?
Nothing. It's just going to bring people that grade sports cards and Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. That's it.
Mhm.
It's
So they're
purely
bringing
taking an email list from one client and bringing it to another client.
So they're bringing their reputation.
They're bringing their email list.
Wait, but-
He's not wrong. That's exactly what's happening. There's a
Wait,
lot of cross going on right now with toys and cards and comics. It's really crossing right now because everybody's trying to get their hands in every single pot.
Wait, JSA is now authenticating signatures. Is that correct?
As well as you're saying, as well as doing the grading of books, they're also authenticating signatures.
Wait, who did who did CGC just
JSA.
buy? Yeah,
That's JSA.
yeah.
JSA.
So they are like
authenticating
yeah,
signatures,
autographs,
like on the
right?
inside of
Signatures?
a
Yeah,
book
Right.
type thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but PSA, I don't. That's a good point. I'm assuming this PSA will, Adrian. Do you know PSA would also be doing verifying
Yeah.
signatures?
I
That's a good.
doubt it. Let's find out.
That's a
Yeah.
good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
They're going to be out of the market when it comes to that, right? Let's be honest. If you had a fucking book signed in 1987,
God, their label's terrible.
oh, their labels are. Why do you think I would ever put that red and white label on this wall? I would kick my dog. I wouldn't be able to know what to do. With
I'm gonna
myself.
get
I'd be
2,
losing.
and then I'm gonna get some of the others and put it behind here just to piss you off.
Well, that's fine. You don't have any CGC stuff behind you. I don't
Not
care.
yet.
You can put your PSA stuff right there. You're right, Jason. I don't know if PSA does signatures on cards. Now,
What the hell
Once
is
again-
Victorian era comics?
of 1800s or 18, more like ads or cartoons or political drawings. That could be Victorian era stuff. This is my thing. This is my point. The reason why signatures are such a big thing, because when you were a kid and maybe you went to a con, started going to a con, and you had George Perez sign your book, you didn't have authenticators. He was there. You didn't even have COAs. He just signed your book. And you kept that book, and now you're 51 years old, and you're like, oh, I know this is authenticated. I was there. I was 8 when he signed it. And you fit it in, and it gets authenticated, and you're happy. But if you were like, oh, I'm going to go with PSA and PSA only, but I have this signed book from 86. Sorry, dude. We don't authenticate. Oh, that kind of blows. Because guess what? I guess I'll just go back to CGC until you guys get
This
verification. But
PSA deal sounds like they're trying to compete with CGC, and it also screams that they're trying to get sold or bought out.
You
Make
mean
enough
that-
splash, just enough to boop. Need to get rid of you.
They were at SDCC, right, Adrian? Weren't they
Yep.
had a whole booth and,
Yep.
and showing their prototypes?
I wouldn't know because I never left my booth, but yeah.
Okay, sorry to hear that. But that was the whole thing. They had their prototypes, and that's when people were like, "Those labels are god awful." And the funny thing is, they're saying we learned and we are listening to the community on how we are pursuing our labels.
So is the grading $10? Right?
Is that what they're hitting it? Is that?
No, of course not. They're going to be the same price as everybody else.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's what I guess. I kind of wish we should get a PSA. I would love to get a PSA guy in here and go, please, by all means, sell me. Me, a guy who doesn't create. I don't collect cards. I don't collect
Yeah,
baseball
but
cards.
PSA is about volume. Like they give you volume discounts if you send in 100 cards, 200 cards, 300 cards. You know, like are they going to do the same thing with comic books?
Well, I guess
Do you
what
think
I'm
the
trying
collecting
to say.
community would start buying it? I mean, it's oversaturated already.
I will tell you, the first retailer that goes head first into it will probably make a fortune.
Well,
Why?
that's-
Why would you think that?
Because it's always,
It's always
the
the
same.
way.
It's always the
Yep.
first shiny new thing. Like if Scott said, "Hey, we're doing PSA only for Hama convention,"
Okay. Yeah.
you know, like or
I get it.
Saltzman at Trinity or any of these big con, you know, the big convention guys. Like I could definitely see them leaning into that. I mean, if PSA, if any grading was smart, they would align themselves to all these guys that have all the hot artists, which they sort of kind of already do with all these like artist signings that they have now every other week. But
Yep. They have
Um,
like these corrals of creators now, right?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, what do they got to offer for the average Joe? Not someone who's collecting cards and baseball. And he has all that. I'm talking about the dude like me, who doesn't have bulk, not can send in bulk. I just want what are you gonna do to give me your business? What are you any different that's gonna persuade me to go to PSA instead of CGC? What is it? If they're like
Use
'cause we're
Adrian's
PSA?
ideas and do minor grades. There you go. Boom.
That's it.
You need to patent this right now. Just you gotta.
Or honestly,
He said it here. Damn it.
Or
We'll
lean
fully
into the
support you.
retailers, or lean into the people on Whatnot, or lean into the people on eBay Live.
Especially eBay Live. They don't. It's kind of an untapped thing
Are
for
they still
exclusive
beta?
stuff.
Are they still in the beta
Who?
testing? eBay Live?
eBay.
Are they
Yep.
just?
Yeah.
They're still beta,
Beta.
right?
Yeah, and they're not inviting anybody on for a bit.
eBay had a big booth at New York Comic Con last year. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're
And-
not gonna have a big booth this year.
Oh, really?
They did offsite at San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Offside. Really?
If anybody really wants to have you really want to have a controversial show, find out why eBay or Whatnot can't be on the floor at San Diego.
Oh.
Find out why.
Now you're gonna make me go down this rabbit hole after we get off this.
Hey,
Yeah, there you go.
I tell
we
you
all
what,
have to
Andrew.
leave now.
Andrew,
Agrees, Steve.
do me a favor. Do the homework and report back to me because I don't want.
Is it specific to Whatnot and eBay?
Yes.
Wow.
Mind you, who owns 25% of Funko?
I
eBay.
don't know.
Yep.
He just said it.
Who's the cornerstone of the San Diego Comic Con floor? Funko.
Funko.
Ah. Wow.
Yep.
There you go.
That's
Andrew's wheels are turning. You see
It's
smoke
a
coming out
very
of your head.
interesting. I probably know more about this than anybody else on this planet, but it's very interesting that even now they don't let certain people into cons, even though they're willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness. Has the whole Funko Pop thing craze died down a little bit?
No,
or-
it died down and then it rose back up.
Oh wow.
yeah. It's right now popping again pretty
Oh,
hard.
okay.
Especially with
It-
all the
that's-
grading and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
Ah.
great and everything's gone up.
Oh, you
Oh,
grade
the-
the Funko Pops now?
Oh yeah, fuck
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
They
wow.
grade the box. How's the box? Is it nice and
The
Andrew,
bubble.
nothing
How clear.
changes. Right.
Oh,
how
wow.
clear is the
The-
plastic?
There's
The
subgrades
fun
on
thing
those.
about
by the way.
that,
I
the funny
know.
thing about that is several years ago they were talking about that, and all the the artists at Funko or the sculptors and stuff, and they're like, yeah, this is a toy. This we don't even care about the box. They made that big thing, but again, it's collectors wanting that pristine box, man.
I recently bought a toy. It was a Star Wars ATST, and it's not an original. And I went live on IG and I was like, should I keep it in the box or should I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I took that shit out of the box and I displayed it. I go, what the hell am I gonna do? Put it in a box. Now, if it's literally a toy from the like the original Superpowers or the DC stuff, I might want to keep it in the original package or the original Star Wars. I might want to, but stuff like that, take that shit out of that box. Funkos, why would I want to keep? I don't care. You know how many of those are around, unless it's the exclusives and the whatever. The fact that
It's
they're
all about Funko
grading
Friday, buddy.
VHS, the fact that they're
Whatnot.
grading VHS
It's
tapes,
boom on that.
that says it enough.
Well, you
can
know
get
that's
a
where Whatnot
graded
started, right?
It's the Funko
with
stuff.
what?
Yes.
the
Funkos.
Funkos.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
See, Jason, there's people who, the video games grading is huge. I go
the
on
VHS
IG.
ones are
The
hilarious to me.
VHS ones. I have a 10.0 Star Wars from that. Wow. And then what? You're just gonna put it up, and then you have a wall like this of just VHS tapes graded in boxes that says 9.9, 10.0s, 9.8.
Yeah.
whatever.
Boom.
But we're
It's
the
just-
same ones that said that about comics when CGC or encapsulating became. Like, why the fuck would I put that in there? I'm supposed to open it, smell it, do all that stuff. And then
But
we valued
guys-
it.
But guys like me, I thrive in this market because when I want a video game, I just recently got a Genesis. I have an NES, and I want to actually play a game. So when I see someone's like, "Do you have so and so?" I don't have it in the box. I don't. I want it raw. Do you have it? I don't care if the things. Do you have the game? Oh yeah, I do for $10. Sold. I want to play it. I don't want it to buy because the first
So
thing I'm
those
gonna say
games
is,
worked, huh?
yeah,
See,
actually yours.
see,
Well, I had to clean them by the way,
I
James.
didn't say they were.
So they'll say it comes in a box. It comes with the original manual. The box is in good condition. They open it up. The manual's in here. It's everything's good. And it's like, I don't care, dude. I don't care. I'm not going to resell it. This is for my thing. Now, there's people who do that because they're in that market and they want everything in the original box with the original manual. They want the label to be nice and pretty. You're going to pay $80 for a game.
But
I
that's
just
the
want to play
beauty
it.
of this whole community. It's just like
That is
like
because you do what you want to do. You
That's
buy,
it.
you
Collect your way.
spend.
Yeah.
There's no, once again, we are the anti
like I
gatekeepers of the community.
like I saw a Skeletor encapsulated perfect. I was like, how in the hell did that last all those years in that box? Honestly, the
Yeah, for
fucking
real.
castle. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
okay, cool.
I have the
That
original Ninja Turtles and 3 of the. I think I have all 4, but I know for sure 3 of them are still in the box.
What?
I don't know why. I don't know why I kept them in the box, but I did.
And you know what the
Here-
beauty of all that is? It drives modern sales.
Yeah.
Because old stuff drives the modern stuff because you're like, well, maybe if I pick it up now, 10 years
Yeah.
from now, yada, yada, yada. And I
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah.
I have a question, Adrian. Is the fad of the variants acrylic, glass, wood, plastic, whatever? Are those? Is that died down?
I mean, a
Like,
little
people are
bit.
like,
I mean, no one's doing carbon fiber anymore. No one's really doing acrylics anymore. I mean, I was just as guilty of doing all that stuff. Probably did it before anybody else. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely died down. It's definitely not ubiquitous where it was everybody was doing acrylics and everyone was doing glow in the darks and everyone was doing carbon fibers and everyone was doing. I think things have gotten back to trade virgin, sketch, maybe foil once in a
maybe
while.
foil, right?
Yeah, I don't see a lot. I mean, everything got. I mean, honestly, as much as I love carbon fiber and made a ton of money doing it, I don't see the value of it as a long-term thing.
It's a tchotchke. It's a
It's a
thing.
novelty.
It's a
Yeah.
novelty. Thank you.
Well, it's
Right,
it's
you know?
building exclusivity where there is none,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Entirely.
Yeah.
I have a carbon fiber comic. Wow.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying it's not cool, and I think it's pretty nifty that you can print on carbon fiber and that you can make it into a comic book, and that, I mean, when we made the 7 Years of Darkness for Whatnot 2 years ago, like we only made 50 of them, but we sold them for $350 a pop, and I could have probably printed more and sold them for more, but it was also one of those things where
What's up,
we did it
Kevin?
once and then we were done.
See,
Like, we
well,
weren't going to keep. We just weren't going to keep doing it.
Adrian, so Kevin is saying that it was stupid expensive to do a die cut, let alone a carbon
No,
fiber.
you know what's stupid expensive is lenticular.
Dang.
Oh, is it
Oh,
really?
yeah. I would imagine.
Lenticular
that
might
would
be the most expensive specialty that you can do.
more than a metal cover.
Yep. Dude, I can
Wow.
get metals for $8 a metal.
What? Wow.
Andrew's like, we need to talk because I
Yeah,
Remember
heck
that
yeah.
when you're
If,
buying that
if
one of
anyone's
10
charging
and
you
for
more than
150
10,
bucks.
if anyone's charging you more than 10 or $15 a metal, that's not good.
Wow. How much would a lenticular cost?
30 to 40 a pop.
Wow.
So I have a question for the comic capsule dudes. Do your comic capsules fit metals and acrylics and
Yeah.
all those things? I'm just saying. I mean, it's the same
Jeff,
size.
Jeff can
right?
answer that one.
I have.
You have
I have
experience with that.
I have a metal that I got. It's what's Bruce Campbell? There was a special. Anyways, I put it in there. I have Lady Death ones that are jeweled that work.
Oh, you got the coffin jewel ones?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they fit in one of these.
Yep. Modern.
Swarovski jewels or whatever.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. So Adrian, it's pretty safe to say there's nothing really new coming up. That's a new fad.
I've seen some crazy stuff come out in prototypes. Like I've seen some LED stuff that's pretty nifty.
What does that do?
So imagine like glow in the dark, but actually glowing,
Oh, dang.
where you
That-
embed tiny solar panels into the paper that you can't see, and it charges, and you can't tell that that's. I've seen prototypes of that, but again, stupid expensive.
But
That's
I will say,
insane.
because I'm an idiot for anything that lights up. I'm a moron for things that light up. Takes me back to light bright in the closet by myself, like a mental pension. Plugging in lights, little things in the closet by myself. I would probably dig something like an LED comic.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
I've seen
because-
that. I've seen like heat powered ink, which hasn't really
it
hit the
changes
market yet.
color with the
Yeah,
with the
changes
heat
color.
and cold.
Hypercolor.
And what does it
I've
do?
seen-
What does it do?
So if you put your
Like,
hand on it, like
it-
it's like heat
it's like
activated
the old
ink.
Thermal
hypercolor
heat
shirts.
activated. Gotcha.
It's like a coffee mug. You know those.
Yeah. You put the water in it, and it changes colors or
Yeah.
design.
Yeah, so you get
Yeah.
a one like I've only seen it like the example was like a vampire had a bunch of blood on it, and like when you touched it, the blood would turn. It would go from black to red.
Okay, see,
Uh,
once again, I might be an idiot for that too.
Well, there's definitely a market for all of you people like that.
For all you idiots.
For all of you people like that.
Draculas of the
But
world.
it's nothing like it's nothing crazy. Like I haven't seen anything like when I saw metal covers, I thought that was great. When I saw carbon fiber, I'm like, this is great, but I don't think it's something that's gonna last. Right?
The
Like
craziest cover I ever bought was a glass cover. That was ridiculous.
yeah, that's a
Glass.
Valiant. Valiant did glass for a while.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was.
Valiant was the first one they did Bloodshot.
hmm
Bloodshot and
glass?
Hardline.
You still have that, James?
I do. I know of 2 other people that had it, and one person now it's broken. So it does break.
Well, I know one grading freaking company that broke one.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
Well,
You know what?
So mine's worth more money now. So there's that. Thank you.
So-
Andrew, go ahead. Go ahead.
The stupidest thing I've ever bought was a invisible comic graded by CGC, and
No, you
that
bought
was
the bad idea one, huh?
yeah, that was
you
the
fell for
beginning
that?
of the end for me. For
That's a
Um,
good marketing ploy. You can't blame Dinesh, man. He knows how to market.
yeah, that was crazy.
What do you think about this question, Adrian? They don't do it often, but do Marvel and DC lose money when they do the tickets?
No, because Transcontinental probably charges them all because they're dealing with a lot more volume, right? So and they don't do lenticulars. I know DC's been doing some lately, but when you're dealing with 500,000 of anything, right? 1 million copies, like at that point, Marvel's buying the paper themselves, or DC's buying the paper themselves, right? So they're not. It's when you do 100, 200, 500. That's where you're going to get the numbers are just upside down.
Mm.
Interesting. Well, there's other stuff. We've heard of the ones that have
Yeah.
the ones that make noise. I know that if you guys remember back in the day when Black Flag tried to make it seem as if they're the first ones to put put your phone over it and the cover turns into.
I had a gun pointed at Clayton. You mean that guy?
That guy, yeah, that guy.
Mhm.
He was. I remember seeing that where you put your phone over the cover and it starts becoming animated, and people are like, "Oh, it's the first one." People are like, "Nah, it's not. It's been done before." And he's trying to market it as it's the first time ever. Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot from that guy. So listen, what an interesting show. We went from thieves to LEDs making me pop a chub to
I'll send you a picture, Caesar, of the.
Wow.
Oh, I would
That
would
was
love
an
to see a
interesting
picture of that
segue.
with it. I would love
I'll
to
send
see
you a picture of the
of it.
prototype.
Please,
We
by all
almost
means.
did it for MegaCon last year, but they just weren't ready yet.
I mean, see, there's certain things that let's be honest, carbon, glass, acrylic, all the things. It's just a cool factor. It's just like you said, hey, look what I got. I got this. What is it? It's carbon fiber on there.
I mean, Caesar, if it makes you feel better, I would have a hard time saying no to that LCD. It would be kind of cool just to say I had one.
I mean, if
There
you
you
see
go,
the stuff
Adrian.
I have lit up in my room right now, other
I
stuff I
mean,
have lit up, you know.
it would have to be something cool. Like it'd have to be like a Batman cityscape or something where the background lit up or something for me to get it. But you know,
Yeah.
or if
Yeah,
it was an artist that I really liked their work, and it did it, I would probably do it just to support them. But yeah,
I'm in. I'm in. I'm
Ironically, it'll work better on a magazine-sized book than a normal-sized comic book.
Oh, you comic capsule sons of bitches. What's going on here, man?
Yeah, let's
Boom.
go.
Let's
You
go.
guys are killing me. At least
Dimensions.
I
Yes.
told Jeff because I said I have a magazine I like. He's like, what is it? I guess Vampire Tales 8. I need something to protect that thing because something fell on it and it made a dimple on it. I was so pissed.
Dude, I'm gonna
Why?
go on Temu right now and look for some heat activated LED solar light up things.
I don't think it's gonna work, Andrew.
Caesar,
Yes.
send Andrew the dimensions of your book.
Andrew, I'm gonna send you dimensions of my book.
All right.
All right, and then you can use that as a litmus. And you should
Can you
probably
guys,
use.
can you laser etch on your encapsulations?
Ooh.
We have done it before. It was cost prohibitive to actually
You
do it
have to
at
use a
that
certain
time.
laser, right?
Yeah. But now that's funny that you brought that up because I started researching lasers and it doesn't like lasers don't like transparency.
Yeah, they don't like clear.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So something either would need to be sprayed on them or a different laser than a diode would need to be used.
Yeah, we tried to
So-
do COAs on clear backers,
Yeah.
and it
Oh,
just
that's-
wouldn't. They just
Yeah,
wouldn't. It just because I mean, you can just feed the machine the numbers, right, and just
Yeah.
We also
but it did
real
not.
genius.
It did not like clear. It doesn't
Yeah.
like clear.
So what you could do is spray a powder on it, and it'll etch into the powder. But
So if you put a substrate on it,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Look at this.
There's someone right now going.
Entrepreneurship.
There's someone right now watching the show going, patent.
Yep.
Right? They're
Boom.
like, damn it, I got the idea from the Comic Menu podcast.
They won't say that.
No, they definitely won't say that. But anyways, one of the last things I wanted to talk about is shows that we'll just close the show by talk about shows. The Acolyte 2 has been officially canceled. I finally came
No mas.
to watching it. My wife was out of town for a couple of days. I walked around in my underwear and ate big lards of cheese and ice cream for dinner.
Yes.
Thanks for that visual.
Yeah, coming from the guy who had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. I saw The Acolyte. It wasn't too bad. It was people were giving it too much hate. It was okay. Am I shocked that Ryan? Come on, man. That's not gross. Cheese and ice cream and under my underwear. It's perfectly fine. The Acolyte was
Well,
not.
you didn't say it was Dell, right?
No, Ryan. If I said it was Dell, then you can say it sounds gross. It wasn't that bad, man. Come on. And so I told myself I'm gonna watch the Marvels. I'm probably gonna sit down and watch the Marvels, and I couldn't get myself to do it. But I did watch Planet of the Apes. The last Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. And I'm an ape. I like those ape movies. Boy, was I disappointed. Not a good one. Did you guys watch anything recently that you liked, that you're like into, or gonna get around to watching it?
No. If you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, that's good.
Yeah.
But it's kind of we're in that weird zone right now.
If you're a horror fan, Longlegs was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Well, this has been a good summer for horror movies, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and there's some great ones coming too.
Right.
I mean, if you've watched Terrifier, the third one's coming out right before Christmas.
I heard not too many good things about. I'm hearing split about Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
I heard it's not good, and I heard it's great.
Well, it knocked off Deadpool Wolverine this past weekend
Oh,
in the box office.
come on, let's be honest. Deadpool Wolverine's been on top for God knows how long. It needed
3 weeks.
something. I mean, that's pretty strong. Let's
That
be
is
honest.
pretty strong.
Anymore, yeah.
You know, but I think once the Alien movie comes out, either people are going to listen to people like me saying it's not as good, or what. I don't see it. I probably won't watch it. It's not my
The best review I got was it's worth the watch, but one time. So it's
I'm
one of those style
curious
movies.
what you guys are thinking of the new Crow movie.
Uh,
I'll watch it.
I'll
Coming
watch
from
it.
the DC guy.
I'll watch it at home. I won't
So
go to the theaters.
you don't think you'll go to the theater for that?
I know for
I'm
a
just
fact. I'm not
waiting
gonna-
for the inevitable James Obar's signings.
Oh
There you
yeah,
go.
he just came to Huntsville Expo this past year, and I got to talk to him for a pretty long time. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
he's
him a
super
lot.
nice.
He's coming to Tucson
No way.
next month. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
So there you go.
You know what? There's been so much hate for that movie, and it's just a trailer. I don't care. I mean, the reason why people are going to watch is pure nostalgia. That's the real
I-
reason why. And the
I
thing
go to
is,
movies for escape reality, so I really don't care.
well, that too, right?
That's
But I
perfect
won't go
reason.
to the theaters. The last movie I saw in the theaters was Deadpool Wolverine. I don't go to the theaters unless it's something like Deadpool Wolverine or something's going to really grab me to go there. But the Crow's not going to grab me. Adrian, do you go to the theaters? You go to the theaters much?
Not as much as I used to. I've seen Inside Out 2, seen Kung
Yeah.
Fu Panda 4.
That was good.
I have a
I don't care
7-year-old, so Kung Fu Panda 4.
If was pretty good. I mean, I have kids, so you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. But that's why like D23 is almost as freaking big as Comic Con now. Cause
Yeah, that's what I heard, right? I mean,
Yeah.
D23 dropped some news, right?
Wait, the Disney?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it already
Wow.
happened.
Well, it's
I just like that 9 Inch Nails is going to do the soundtrack for the new Tron movie.
Yeah,
That's gonna
Oh
be cool.
wow.
because
Yeah.
I think, believe it or not, as much as I didn't mind the Tron Legacy movie, I didn't mind it because it was a little bit nostalgic for me. Even though I went back and showed my kid and my wife like Tron, the first one,
Oh
and
yeah.
as I was watching, I'm going, "What the fuck am I watching? This
It's
is
tough when that happens.
It is god awful. It's just bad,
tough when that happens.
you know."
Damn.
But when you're a kid, you're like, "Oh, this is so
Yeah,
cool."
that was the
But as-
jam.
But as an
I mean-
adult, you're going,
So my daughter started getting into horror movies, and we watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember that scared the crap out of me as a kid, and now it's like watching it. We were laughing through most of it because it was just like, wow, like
Well, I did that with The Exorcist when they
Yeah.
re-released it in the '90s, and I went to the theaters as an adult, and I was
Well,
like, "This is god
think of
awful."
this
bad.
one, Caesar. Think about this. I was telling my daughter about Poltergeist. That
Yeah,
absolutely
like,
freaked me out as a kid.
Yes.
And now I'm like thinking she's gonna look at that and probably laugh because I'm like, I go, you know, and I've told even some of the kids that I'm teaching now, I'm like, back in the day we had 4 channels to watch, and by 11 o'clock it was white noise. They don't even know what white noise is.
No,
So
It's kinda-
So it's like, you know,
It's like I try to explain a payphone to my kid.
yeah.
oh yeah,
well,
exactly.
it's funny you say that because my wife just says, she goes, "Do you remember when you watched TV?" And then they started playing the national anthem, and then they went to the Indian, the Tune channel, and that's it. Broadcast ended at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, and that's it. He didn't watch any TV. And
It's funny. I'm in a group chat with some of my childhood friends that I've known for 40 years, whatever. And one of them was like, "Hey guys, do you remember when we used to watch Faces of Death, and that was like the scariest
Yeah.
thing ever in the world?" And then this friend was like, "Imagine the kids nowadays would watch it and be like, what the heck? Like, this is so cheesy, like."
It's like YouTube for them now.
it is YouTube for him, right? You see more
Or
stuff
even
on.
the other, what was it, the 45th or whatever anniversary of MTV, you know, August 1st, I was talking to my kids, you know, fifth grade ELA teacher, and they're like, "What?" And I was like, "I still remember seeing the very first video on MTV,"
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh my God, what's music
What's
television?"
TV?
I was like,
What's a
"Yeah,
commercial? I love my 7-year-old or my 8-year-old now that asks me that. What's a commercial? What is this? Why did it stop?
That's
I was
so
like, oh
funny.
yeah,
wow, okay,
No,
that happened.
we live in a different era. By the way, first video to play on MTV was the Boggles
Buggles video
Yep.
killed the radio."
video killed the radio star. All right, guys, we hit the just about the time here. We're gonna give you guys just enough time for all of you to promote what you got going, where we're gonna find you next, all that good stuff. We're gonna start with Andrew because you know he is the head here. And oh, by the way, little shout out to Lawrence you just brought up because he bought my NYX3
Oh, did he? Oh,
Nice.
nice.
a while back.
Wow.
I sold my 8.5. He's like, hey, I think I know you. I'm like, buy my book. I don't. Who are you? Just buy my book. And he's like, I'm set up for the comic capsule. I'm like, yeah, I had you guys on the show.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. What do we gotta go with the comic capsule? Where do you find you? Know that good stuff.
So things are rolling nicely with the comic capsule. It's you know, people have adopted it, and it's kind of become a staple in everyone's collection. So it's nice to it's really kind of heartwarming to see like people repeat buyers. I love that because that means like they really like it. So you know, I don't know. I'm excited about what's in the pipeline, what we've been brainstorming on, and hopefully, you know, filling some little niches that have been lacking in the collecting community for forever. So that's all.
All right. And Andrew, thank you so much for jumping on my last second. I hear
Oh
appreciate
no,
you guys.
I had so much fun the last time. I was like,
Caesar, we're always here for you,
yeah, always,
right?
always.
Team
Yeah.
Caesar, Team Caesar.
See, Dale, this is what happens when you don't pop on. All right, Adrian, what do you got going on, my man?
Nothing until New York. So I got I'm always on Whatnot or eBay, eBay Live or whatnot. Besides that, nothing until New York, and then I should take a break for a while until MegaCon.
So, Adrian, are you actually going to have a table at New York Comic Con?
I don't know. I'm like 50-50.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not out of the question. It's also, do I really want to? I mean, the last big con of the year is one of those things where you want to get everything you can possibly get done to kind of hold you over. It's like hibernation. Like you want to get all your acorns ready to go for the hibernation. So you can't really do that at a table. So I don't know. I'll figure all that stuff out. But for sure, we're going to have a couple drops, whether it's at the table or not. We'll probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, maybe 6.
Nice.
Adrian
Tell
does
those customers to go see Andrew.
Andrew
Cover
does
those
what
exclusives.
Adrian does what Adrian does, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and you know, why not? If you guys could maybe team up one day and sell your stuff on comic capsules, a little extra added price there. There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that, making deals live on the show. Comic Uprising. Tell me, man, where can we find you?
Mostly on Instagram, comic_uprising. Really just push Disney content and positivity and community-based stuff. That's really all I care about. I do want to give a shout out to Kevin, who was in the chat. Thank you again for our exclusive. I cherish that I was able to do a book with you. So thank you for the TMNT cover that you did.
Very cool.
Every once in a while, I am on Whatnot too, but I run dollar start shows and just have fun. And so that's me. I'm James.
Awesome.
That's me, and I'm James. All right, cools, you kittens and cats. By the way, here you go. Look at that. This size.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
This
Very
is
nice.
what I want.
So what's the dimensions on that?
This is compared to a regular book. Well, compared to a look at this. I mean, this should tell you something.
It looks slightly wider than the distillery books.
Boom.
I mean, that's how much.
That's quite a.
That's wide. Yeah.
It's a wide. These things are wide. So you could. I'll give you a good example. Here you go.
We're gonna get. Look how technical we're getting. This is good. So just like a scotch more.
Let me see yours, Adrian.
This
Let me
is
see yours.
That
This
is
is
pretty
the-
big.
but it's really wide. Like, I mean, this is my Jenny Frizen cover, but
That's probably wider than this one.
it's wider than that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it goes to the edge of this, which is 11. The backer board's 11 inches.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you
That's
go,
a
guys.
Beautiful cover, by the way.
Oh, thank
So-
you. I love this cover.
So just to let you guys know, yeah, actually, Andrew, and here you go. I mean, that's your modern, and this is the size of it. I mean,
It's great. Thank you.
That's
know.
about as much measuring as you're gonna get out of Caesar.
this is it, man. You can. That's as technical as they get.
Or more like that's the only measuring we want out of
Well,
Caesar.
thank
Oh, we had to go
Good
there.
way
At
to
least,
end.
we had to go there at least once. This isn't a show if we don't do a penis joke. So the thing is that this was a fantastic. It was a good show. It very informative. We try to be very informative. We always have great guests. James, thank you so much for jumping on last minute because Dell had to do some work. He had adult, and you know,
And I don't.
and you don't. Adrian is always a blast to have on. He's been a friend of ours on the show for quite some time now, and hopefully we're going to share some really good news with the rest of you guys. I got to talk to Adrian about that some more. And the Comic Capsule guys are always welcome, not because they send me free stuff, but because they send me free stuff. And no, it's good stuff. I wouldn't. I'll
Yeah,
look out
hey
for
guys,
commercials soon.
I did a review myself, so scroll down on my IG. The Comic Capsule's got a
Yeah, you
review
did.
on it.
You did.
So
And look
We-
out for commercials soon. I'll be doing a commercial this on IG soon to tell you how
And
great
we
this stuff is.
truly appreciate all the support, guys.
Yeah. It's
You guys-
awesome.
You guys are awesome. You guys can find me on Instagram, Caesar the Real Dracula's Wolf. Once again, I'm doing lately. I've been more busy with doing reels for promotions of businesses using my movie voice or my other voices. So once again, if you want a promo done for your live action or a commercial, Adrian, if you ever need a reel done for any of your stuff, even a whatnot stuff, and you need a in a world where Adrian sells books, LA Comics is here. I'm here for that. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing lately, and I'm digging it. It's perfectly fine.
Awesome.
That being said, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have yourself a safe night. We'll see you guys next week. We have whole new people. Don't know what it is. I don't remember it because I'm old. And that's it. We'll talk to you guys
Thanks
later.
a lot, guys.
Thanks,
See
guys.
ya.
Bye now.
Appreciate it.